Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the Dear Black Woman podcast. Now, today's episode is about generational healing, and we are delving into the powerful ways we can break cycles and find peace. Our guest is another wonderful co-author of the Dear Black Woman Anthology project, the insightful Charleeta Latham. She's a contributing author to our project. Her letter to her inner child is a moving testament to the love between a mother and daughter, the challenges of healing from what she terms strong Black woman syndrome and daddy issues, and the quiet resilience that saves a life. Charleeta is going to give you a powerful message in what she's actually bringing to us. So without further ado, let's welcome Charleeta to the stage. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I am good. I'm all right. I'm holding on.
Okay, yet holding on.
And ain't gonna let go either.
Okay. Now, Charleeta, your letter is a beautiful tribute to your mother, who you call your sun, our moon, and our star. You mentioned that your greatest fear was always losing her. How has navigating life in the few years since her passing reshaped your understanding of fear and strength?
Ooh, what a question. It has totally reshaped it, first of all. But I've expanded in ways that I didn't know were possible. And I was actually just thinking about this the other day. A lot of what I thought I had buried with her is still very much alive and well in me, which is part of the reason why I'm so passionate about being part of this project, because I got to keep living. She's gone, but I got to keep living.
Yes, I love that. You got to keep living. You can't just allow it to take you out too.
Mm-hmm. She made her investments, and I got to make sure that they see a return. I got to make sure she see a return, whether it's on this side or another one.
I know that's right. Now, during your childhood, you were labeled as the quiet one, especially in comparison to your boisterous cousins. You explained this wasn't your true nature, but a response to seeing your cousin punished for being joyful. How did shrinking yourself in those moments sort of impact your identity as you grew up?
Oh, God. I don't think I really truly saw myself until I got older. Because those ways that I had learned to cope with it, the way I had shrunk myself, I had started to identify with that. So I thought I was quiet too. But as I got older, I was like, actually, you're not all that. You're actually really loud and very boisterous as well. So as I've aged, I've been trying to be more intentional about not shrinking and making some noise and making my presence, known.
And it's funny that you say that, because also in your story, you talk about running block, interference for your cousin, attempting to quiet her down to protect her. Looking back, how do you view that role you took on as a child? And what have you learned about the difference between protecting someone and actually dimming their light?
Oh my God. First of all, nobody asked me to do that. So, I mean, like, it's not to say that, like nobody made me do that, but I thought I was helping, but not realizing that I was doing a disservice to her and myself. She was getting to be herself. I wasn't. So I was the one that was really suffering.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that I now know that. And I move around in the world with that same knowing. So, because there's still times where I'm like, okay, you getting a little loud over there. You might want to, you getting a little loud, girl. So it's a constant fight, honestly, to mute myself and shrink myself.
It's those things that we often are taught. That's conditioned in us. Don't be too loud. Don't be too boisterous. Don't be too colorful. Don't be this. Don't be that. Because being loud and boisterous and really enjoying yourself is associated with being ghetto. So those different stereotypes that have been placed upon us as Black women, those are things that we grow up, just sort of hiding behind those masks. Like you said, you thought you were a quiet child, but in turn, no, you weren't a quiet child. You were just scared to speak out because of what you'd seen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And we have to be careful not to let fear drive. That is one of the things that really drives me now in my adult life. Like most of the time, actually, if I find myself feeling fearful about it, I'm going to make myself do it just because I'm half scared to do it. Even if I don't really want to do it, if I sense like the slightest bit of fear behind it, I'm going to make myself at least try it, because letting fear drive can really diminish the quality of your life. And I just refuse to do it.
I love it. Now, fear is really just an illusion. It's really one of the things that we allow to happen to us. And I'm going to say this, and I've described it like this to a lot of my clients. Fear is an excuse. And fear gives you the opportunity to say, okay, well, I'm not going to do this because. But if you look at the excuse that you use because of fear, it's not a valid excuse. So you really have no reason not to actually do what you've been called to do. You just choose not to do it. Yeah. You're making an excuse for yourself. And I know that's a hard thing for people to hear, but it's the truth.
It is.
Now, a key theme you mentioned is your healing from daddy issues. And Lord, no, we all got some of them. You learn not to ask your dad for help after seeing him judge and belittle your siblings. How did being praised for being an easy child who never gave any problems sort of create a complicated inner world for you?
Because I heard it and I realized it was meant to be a compliment, but it didn't feel good. So it was really confusing because it was like, you're complimenting me for not having my needs met and smiling about it. Like, am I confused? It made me second guess myself. It made me question my own intuition when that feeling would come about and say, this isn't right. It just made me second guess myself all the time. And so I've had to really work to like trust my intuition, because sometimes it's not you. It is other people sometimes.
You say that again.
And the ways that we are taught to like second guess ourselves, we really do start to internalize that and think, well, maybe it's just me. It must be me, but it's not. It's not always you.
Yeah, that's true. Now, you use the powerful phrase throughout, shake the dust, when talking about people who resent your anointing. What does the act of shaking the dust look like for you in a practical, everyday sense?
Moving on, not getting caught up in other people's projections, being very clear on who I am and what I'm purposed to do. And I'm not here to catch your projections or to be manipulated by your insecurity. That I know. So I'm just going to move on. I love you from afar. I'll never stop loving you. That love I gave you, you can keep it. There's plenty more where that came from. But I got to go. I'm not staying here.
I love that. Yes, shake the dust. Now, in your letter, you also warned your younger self about a man with whom the experience is not love. How did your faith in knowing your Heavenly Father's voice become the standard by which you measure what true, safe, and godly love feels like?
Unfortunately, when I found myself in situations that have felt familiar, because what has been familiar to me in some cases was dysfunction.
Absolutely. Chaos. Yeah.
Yes, and confusion.
Yeah.
And so when stuff gets to feel a little bit too familiar, sometimes I'm like, we're not doing this again.
It's time to walk away.
Yeah, let's choose another path. This ain't it. This is not it. Just because it's familiar don't mean it's right.
That's the truth. And sometimes that familiarity is set up so because it's a warning. That's your nervous system saying, hey, ma'am, we've been here before. As you stated, it's time to shake the dust.
I remember one time I won't tell too much of my business, but I was at a function and this young man sat down next to me and I was like, oh, he's cute. But as soon as he sat down, something in my spirit said, oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't. I got that same feeling that I used to get when my father would come home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, you ain't got to tell me twice, baby.
Okay.
I ain't seen that man since.
Listen, and it's funny that you say that because the basis of, my original book, Dear Black Woman, and how we got to this point was me dealing with a relationship that brought up trauma from my childhood, not from other relationships. So my body was like, ma'am, this a old trauma that we ain't dealt with yet. I know this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
and since then, every time I feel that way, I'm like, oh nope, gotta walk away. I can't be in this situation because I refuse to let anyone else make me feel that way again.
Mm-hmm.
So I get exactly what you're saying. As soon as your body recognizes it, discernment kicks in, and you like, oh no. I told you your nervous system just going awry, shooting off red flags. like the blinking light. Ma'am, something is wrong here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, let's talk about your Uncle Ed, because we've talked about some negative aspects, but you spoke about him constantly pouring life into you, telling you that your hands were anointed. How important was his voice in helping you see yourself clearly when others didn't?
I don't even know if I could put that into words. I'll be 40 in September, and I still remember his words to me. That was 10, 20, 30 years ago, but it really shaped me. Like when you hear me say, I know who I am, it's because of people like him who truly saw me,
Yes.
and not just how I convenienced them or how I was able to make them feel better about themselves when I was around. They truly saw me. And it's people like that really, really honestly, just held me down when I didn't even know I needed to be held down, and it really helped me to know that there are men out there that can be trusted. There are men out there who have a legacy to be carried out, because with daddy issues, you can easily become one of those, I don't need no man, I don't know,
Girl,
This is not that.
Listen, how many times have you said that over your lifespan?
Right.
Right.
Like, this is not that. Like, I know we talk about pick me's and all that, totally different conversation.
But
there are men who are trustworthy and noble. And my Uncle Ed is one of them.
I love that. Now, one thing I do want to touch on, and I think this was one of my favorite parts of your story. You wrote, sometimes the last thing you need is another reminder of how strong you are. Sometimes it's just nice not to have to be. Do you know how much that resonated with me? Because I think all Black women are often told they're strong. And one of the things I'm often telling people is that's not a compliment. You telling me I'm strong is not a compliment at all. What has your journey been like learning to let go of that phrase, that mantle?
You know what? I had to learn to just let stuff go awry, honestly. I just had to learn to get comfortable in the chaos sometimes, because I realized that there were a lot of people around me who were expecting me to always be the one to pull the pieces together, make it look pretty, whatever. And they wouldn't even try if I was around. So I just started dropping stuff. Sometimes you have to drop the ball, let somebody else pick it up.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. Y'all not going to strong Black woman me to death. You're just not going to do it.
Girl, listen, who you preaching to the choir right now? You know that. And this circles back to this question. That's not your problem was a mantra in your letter when describing how people will misunderstand or mistreat you. How did you come to that powerful place of detachment? And what advice would you give another woman on how to stop taking on things that aren't theirs to carry? Because again, you don't have to be no strong woman.
Mm-hmm. You will reach a point where the frustration is just too much. You can't be frustrated anymore. That's not my problem. I did what I could. That's all I can do. I ain't doing no more. And people can just feel the way about it. Because when I felt the way about it, nobody seemed to notice or care. So it's somebody else's turn. Like, I've carried my weight. I've done the emotional labor. I've done the work. I did my part. So whatever's left is not my problem. It's just not my problem.
Now let's talk about your perspective on apologies that are often more about absolving the offender than repairing the person who was harmed. How do you feel about that?
I don't want to say that apologies don't mean anything to me, but the older I get, the less I really care if I get an apology or not. Because, like you just said, oftentimes the apology is just offered to absolve the offender, not the offended.
Mm-hmm.
And it rarely ever comes with actual adjustment.
Action. Yep.
Yes, yes.
Action.
Like you just say I'm sorry and go right back to the same thing you're doing, or even less. Because now that you've been called out, you're ashamed and you're embarrassed, so you don't even want to come around now. You know.
Say it again. Okay.
But at the end of the day, we all only have one life, and I get called uppity and bougie and all the things, but I care about the quality of my life, and I only get one. So I can only be but so kind and only so gracious.
And you got to take care of yourself first. It doesn't matter what anybody says about you, to be completely honest. So, yeah.
That's the thing that's hard. You when you're raised to be the good girl, learning to be disliked, learning to let yourself be disliked is hard, but it's a necessary work. It's a very necessary work.
So you have a beautiful memory of getting so lost in playing music that you wouldn't even remember recording it when you listen to the tapes later. Let's talk about that creative state. Do you see it as a spiritual connection? And is there something that you can, well, I know it's something that you still tap into today.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. Even at the time, I didn't realize it as that. But as I've gotten older, especially as I look back, that's really what it was. Like that was my way of communing with God. You know, sometimes you don't have the words. Sometimes you don't know what to say, you know, and sometimes it just feels good to let yourself be used. So like when I would go back and listen to those tapes, like I know that like it was me physically playing it, but that wasn't me. You know, like that wasn't me. And sometimes even when I'm speaking and I'm talking, it's not me. I'm just the channel that is coming through, you know?
Yeah.
And that's nothing but God, honestly. So like there's nobody that can tell me that God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, is not real. It's very real. Very real.
Very, very, very.
Absolutely.
Now, you talked also about making little short storybooks when you were younger. Now we at this age and we done circled back to you doing this anthology. What has this full circle journey been like for you, from private passion childhood to public success? Or how does that feel right now?
It's really just confirmation of what God had already shown me. You know, sometimes God shows me things and I forget about it. I completely forget that he's even shown it to me until it's happening. And I'm like, why does this feel familiar? And then I go back and I'm like, oh, you told me this was going to happen, you know? So that happens often, you know? And it's a beautiful experience. And I thank God for it.
Now, you also talked about your joy is resistance and your rage is justified and fair. Mm-hmm. In a world that often polices the emotions of Black women, how did you learn to embrace both your joy and your rage as valid and necessary parts of your being?
Truth, and it came to a point where I just had to be honest with myself. I had to look at myself in the face and say, girl, you mad. I know you don't want to be an angry Black woman, but you are mad. And rightfully so. So I really just had to look at myself and own how I was feeling and allow myself to feel that in order to process it and move through it.
Okay. Now, you talked about being mad, but let's talk about quiet defiance, because you talked about that too in your story. What did that look like in your younger years, and how does it feel now different from the louder, more boisterous presence you sort of embrace now?
Honestly, the quiet defiance, it's satisfying almost, because sometimes when you tell people things, they make the admission to make you wrong. But if they don't know what to attack. So before you know it, I done did it, or I ain't done it. And it's too late, you know, so there's nothing that you can do, you know, because I feel like a lot of people sometimes they want to feel like they can move you around and control things for their own ego. Mm-hmm. And especially when you are a sunny, warm, childlike personality like I am, people think, you know, she's green, she's naive, that's an easy lick. Okay. Okay. We'll see.
But you say don't let the meekness and the quietness fool you. Because I don't know if y'all heard her say it earlier, but she did say she is not quiet. She is loud and boisterous. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be real honest with you. She show up as quiet, but that's really just her observing the scene and trying to check out what's going on the scene. It's a fake. Okay, it's a fake. So when she come in quiet, don't think she just showing up to just show up and gonna sit there. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's not what you gonna get.
And I don't mean to be, like arrogant or anything like that. I just know who I am. So I don't lead with, I can do this, I do this, I do that. I don't lead with
Excuse
that.
me, ma'am. Excuse
me.
But
it's there.
Mean to be arrogant. Okay. Mean to be arrogant. Yes, mean to be who you are. Step into that power, own it, and be you. Okay.
You're right.
Yeah. Be arrogant. You've earned it. Right?
You're right.
Listen, you know me. Now, you write about the experience of some people close to you failing to support you, while at the same time, complete strangers who will like, love, and support everything you do. How has this taught you to redefine your concept of community, and where can you, where you can find true support? What does that look like for you?
It's really been illuminating, like eye-opening, because I didn't even realize that I was carrying a belief that nobody really wanted to support me until I started doing things and seeing, oh, the people, oh, yeah, oh, y'all really do want what I got, So I would encourage others to just do the thing, because it may not be who you think it's going to be, but it's going to be somebody.
Thank you. Say it again, because they don't hear you when you say that. Repeat that one more time, because that's going to be a clip.
Do the thing, because it may not be who you think it's going to be, but it's going to be somebody. Your people are out there.
Now, you're the founder of the Birmingham chapter of Black Girls in Art Spaces. Mm-hmm. How has creating and facilitating safe communal spaces for other Black women helped you in your own healing?
It's just always good to look around and be in the company of other women who are well and happy and living out loud. I don't ever want to be the only one who's doing good, Mm-hmm. So in creating that community, it helped me to see others. It's like a mirror, It helped me to see others and other expressions of, Black women living their lives, and different age ranges and everything.
So let me ask you this. What was actually the catalyst for you starting that chapter? And what need did you see in your community that just brought that to the forefront for you?
Well, I'm not really a club kind of girl, but mm-hmm. I like a little dilly-dally here and there, and I didn't see it. And so because Casey, who was the founder of the overall brand of Black Girls in Art Spaces, we both had that Tuskegee connection. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is perfect, because Birmingham needs this, And so I reached out to her, and it just happened.
I love that. Now, what does a typical meetup for Black Girls in Art Spaces look like for you all? And what's the impact that you've seen on the women who've attended your spaces?
We usually go to an art gallery, and we get a private guided tour from one of the people at the gallery. And actually, a couple of times we've had the artist or a representative from the artist family show up. Didn't expect that, but those were pleasant surprises. So it's usually about an hour or so, and then we just go eat and break bread and chit chat and get to know each other.
I love that. Now, what does accessibility in the art world sort of mean to you personally?
It means exposure. It means expansion of the idea, because I believe in seeing other worlds. Even if you don't necessarily want to be a part of that world, mm-hmm. It's important to me that you see that there are things out there outside of what's physically right in front of you, because your worldview is shaped by what you see. So if you don't see a whole lot, your worldview is going to be smaller. So I want to encourage and inspire people to have a larger, more expanded worldview. And through art is one of the ways that I believe we can do that.
I love it. Now, this isn't your first anthology.
Mm-hmm.
No, you wrote in Soulful Prayers. What was that experience like for you writing? And, tell me the difference between the projects because we need to go get that book. You didn't.
I pulled that prayer directly out of one of my old prayer journals. When I saw that project, I already knew exactly which prayer I was going to use.
Ain't that something? You see how God be preparing you before the project even hits your desk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That again goes back to that divine connection, that divine inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you know it's God, because
Yep.
it's already there. And that was when I was in Dallas. So that was, it feels like a lifetime ago now. But that was about 5-6 years ago, maybe. But that process that was the first time where I had shared publicly like something that was really personal to me. Because like I said, that came out of my personal prayer journal, and I, had never really shared anything like that. So I felt exposed. But once I got out there and to the last question, got that support and started seeing like strangers were like showing up for me, and people who I didn't even know were people that I actually know that I didn't know were paying attention, were, buying the book and, and telling me they read it. And I was like, I really didn't think y'all was paying me no mind.
They did. Somebody was clearly paying attention to you, right?
Right. I'm constantly learning that.
Now, as a writer and a musician, what does your daily or weekly sort of creative routine look like? And how do you make time for your art?
Oh, honestly, sometimes I can't. And that really sucks. But when I can, I dive head first. I love to listen to my music really loud. I think it's because I can feel the vibrations, like literally feel the vibrations, and it kind of helps reset my nervous system. I know it's probably obnoxious to my neighbors and people around me. I know in undergrad, I used to listen to my music really loud. And my friends, like when I would go to my friends' houses and stuff like that, I would get there and the door would already be open because they'd be like, well, we heard you coming.
We can hear your music down the hall. Yeah.
But it's really important to do like little creative things, like, because like, yes, I write and I play and all that as well. But to me, my style is also an expression. It's also my creative outlet. So sometimes on those days where I can't write or I can't play or I can't sing or I can't dance, I get dressed.
Yes.
You got to get dressed every day anyway, So I find a little way to infuse some creativity into every day.
Now, who are some of your favorite poets and artists, especially because you're in the art spaces? You go to museums. Who are you drawn to?
Jill Scott. There's a
Of
poem.
Course, girl, stop.
There's a poem she has called "Potty Trained."
Yes.
I wish I knew it by heart, but I don't. But I love that poem.
Hold on, watch this. Did you get my message in WhatsApp today?
I did.
You saw what Miss Anne-Marie said?
What'd she say?
Y'all performing.
Oh, wait, performing where?
Read the WhatsApp message.
Oopsie, gotta go back and do my reading.
Yeah. Everybody, when I said who is a poet in the group, and everybody was like, I'm a poet, I'm a poet, I'm a poet. She was taking notes. Yeah.
Got it.
And we having a poetry slam at the event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She has already written y'all's names down on the list.
Well, that's gonna be fun.
Okay. See, I said they didn't even know. I was asking for other reasons.
But that's how it happens though.
Yeah, but she clocked that and she was like, today when I did my live with her, one of the things we talked about was, the event, the same way we talked about it when I went live with you. And she said, the ladies who said they were poets, do they know they're going to have to get up and read some poetry? I said, well, they will in a few minutes. I said, y'all forget we got teachers in the group. So they prepared, they ready. Now, you get compensated for your songs that you write. What is the most rewarding part of being a professional artist?
You know what? It's really the small things. I remember one time my mom was telling me that this little girl, because I used to play for my Sunday school at my home church, and this little girl was telling her, I want to play like her. I want to play like her. It was just that small thing, like, because again, I didn't think anybody was really paying any attention. So it felt good to know that somebody was watching and somebody's inspired by what I'm doing.
Yeah. Now, in your letter, you tell your younger self that she will love social media. Mm-hmm. Now, as an adult, how do you approach using it as a tool for community and connection?
I do have to be careful because sometimes I do forget that the whole world can see this stuff, Yes. So when I'm sharing, I try not to overshare because I tend to. When I'm posting and speaking directly to the camera, in my mind, I'm just on FaceTime with my friends, or with a friend. So I get a little comfortable sometimes and forget that the whole world can see this. But I just try to show up as myself because that's what connects for me is the real.
Yeah. I think those are the best ways to show up on social media, just as yourself. And again, you see how I show up on this podcast. Like we just had that conversation. I show up on social media much worse some days. I looked at a video of mine that I did on TikTok, and my wig was pulled to the back, and I was just sitting there talking, and I was saying something important, and I'm sitting there watching my own video. I said to myself, you have come a real long way, because I don't think you would have ever gotten on social media with your wig, the lace pulled all the way back. When I say I'm in my come as you are era, I am in my come as you are era. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like social media, you getting me as I am. And if God give me a word in that moment, I'm jumping online and I'm giving you that word just how I look. I don't care. I'm not going to put that makeup on. I'm not going to put no lashes on. And if I'm in the process of taking this wig off my head, then that's what you get to. Okay.
Got to give it to the people how God gave it to you.
Thank you. And that's exactly what I do now. I really don't care. Now, we talked about the gala and all of that. And the purpose of the gala is to heal your inner child. What role does laughter and humor play in your life, in your relationships today?
Laughter is a vehicle. It gets me from point A to B, and B to C, and C to D, all the way to Z, and back to A again. Without laughter, I would not go anywhere. Without laughter, I would have lost my mind a long time ago. And I've learned to laugh at stuff that's probably really not funny, to be perfectly honest with you. But sometimes you just don't feel like crying. So I'm just going to laugh.
I know that's right. You can say that again. Sometimes it helps to laugh to prevent from crying. Because, we've been in some situations that really make you want to just break down in tears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I completely understand that. What was the most important promise or a piece of advice you felt you needed to give the younger version of yourself in this anthology?
Make some noise. Silence is not going to save you. It's just not. So you might as well go and say it. Go and do it. Knock it over. Whatever you got to do. Make the noise. Just make some noise. Do the thing.
Make some noise. Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to circle back to some other things you wrote about. You wrote really beautifully about generational legacy of preparation being passed from your grandmother to your mother and from your mother to you. Beyond that preparation, what intangible emotional or spiritual legacies did they leave with you also?
My mom had a way of knowing. Like, and I'm not just talking about like the typical Black mom, they know, but like, she had to have been tapped into something real. There's no way, And I believe she passed that down to me because there have been times where in my flesh, I don't know nothing. I don't know. I'm not being cute when I say that. I don't know. But I learned to be obedient. She used to always say, obedience is better than sacrifice. And
Mm,
getting to know your Heavenly Father's voice is paramount, because once you know that voice, you know what voice to follow.
yes.
And if you don't know, God knows.
Now, as someone who is a leader in your community and in other spaces, what is your philosophy on mentorship?
It's necessary, because no man's an island. You can't get through this thing called life alone. So you're going to have to trust somebody. That's the message to myself as well. I had to get that one in my thick noggin. You're going to have to trust somebody, and you're going to have to share with somebody
You're
that
gonna
you
have to
can
be
trust.
open at some point, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to open yourself up to somebody. Not everybody,
But
but somebody.
somebody, yeah, somebody. Now we learn you can't tell everybody everything, but you
Mm-hmm.
gotta tell it to somebody. Yeah. What let's move to now. What is a new skill or hobby completely unrelated to your work that you are interested in learning now?
I want to learn multiple languages for no reason other than I just want to know. I just think it's so chic when a woman can speak like 4, 5 languages, and I'm gonna do it.
Okay, that actually brings me to my next question. So, if you could coordinate an international event for this anthology anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Ooh, anywhere, anywhere.
Mhm.
Hmm, hmm. For some reason, Tokyo is coming to mind. I don't know why.
Girl, okay. Well, let's put,
Tokyo or Paris. I know it's probably cliche.
no, you want me to tell you why that's not cliche?
Why?
Because guess what's also distributed in Paris?
Dear Black woman.
Yeah, the magazine.
I've been, but I was a child because I was an exchange student in high school, and I've always wanted to go back in my adult life so I could really fully appreciate it. So those two places are kind of top of my list: Tokyo and
You
Paris.
might need to talk to Misha and put that event together so we can all just go to Paris and do a Dear Black Woman event.
Well, let's do it.
Okay, don't who
I already got
you
my passport.
watch this. Wait, you talking to me? Cause you know me. I jump in this WhatsApp today and be like, this the date that we going to Paris.
I told you I already got my passport.
You know I got mine. I asked y'all that how many months ago. I was like, who got their passport? Now, if you don't have your passport, that's your fault. That ain't got nothing to do with me because I have given ample opportunity. Did I not? I
You
asked that
did.
question back when we started this project. People done
You
had
did.
months to get their passport.
You did.
Yeah, I did. But you brought it up. You know, you brought it up. You said it. So don't don't threaten me with a good time. Okay. Now, your letter also talks about your reputation will precede you. When people hear the name Charleeta Latham decades from now, what do you hope your reputation will be?
I hope that they'll smile. Honestly, I just hope that they will remember a good time, whether it was a product or a service or just an experience with me. I just hope that they'll smile and just be glad that we crossed paths. It's really that simple, because people never forget how you made them feel.
They may
And
forget you, but they won't forget how you made them feel. That's
exactly.
true.
And it's always my intention to have a good experience of someone and have someone have a good experience of me as well at the end of
I
the day.
love that. Now, this is my very last question for you. After all you've experienced and built, how has your definition of the word legacy changed from what you might have thought it was 10 years ago?
Hmm. I don't know if it's my 40s knocking or what, but I don't want my legacy to be one of an overworked, quote unquote, ambitious woman. Like, yes, I do have pursuits that I will continue to pursue, but I want to be a well rested, taken care of, you know. I don't want to look like what I've been through, you know. That's my legacy. You know, I loved and I left here. That's it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Lauren wrote something, and I told her when I interviewed her, I said, "Don't be surprised if you show up to Atlanta and this phrase is tattooed on my arm." She wrote in her, and this stuck out with me because I've always looked for a descriptive for myself, and I really don't know how to describe it. And I found it in her story. She wrote "love in the flesh."
Mm.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, do not be surprised if you see me walking around telling people I'm love in the flesh. Because that I do believe that is what many of us are. And I was looking for that descriptor because I was explaining to her with my trauma, it's not that I don't love myself, because I absolutely love myself. I love myself probably more than I should, which is why I encourage Black women to be arrogant. And not in a boastful type way, but in a way of understanding what your power and your purpose is and what God has designed for your life. My biggest issue was finding people that actually loved me the way that I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I say love in the flesh, I mean that. Like, even now, when we get on Zoom calls and stuff, like we had a writers meeting, Miss Angel will not let people speak to me. A couple of these women have put up barriers around me because of who I am and because of how I handle myself now. And I explained to them, I'm no longer wearing that tough, hard exterior that we usually put up as a shield or, to block people from getting to the real core of us. And right now, I don't desire to be that person. I desire to be who God intended me to be. And if that means I'm walking around in love, then that's fine. Yes, my discernment is there, but I don't lead with negativity. I don't lead with any of that. I don't want to be hard no more. I just want to be myself.
Absolutely.
And that's love in the flesh.
Yep. And if I got to do all that to be around John, I ain't gonna be.
I don't need to do it. You did. Yes, we talked about that. Now, listen. Tell people where they can find you online, Miss Social Media Queen.
You can find me on Instagram at House of Charlie. That's HAUS of CHARLEE.
Now, Charleeta, thank you so much for this incredibly moving and vulnerable conversation, for sharing your story in the Anthology project. Your journey of finding your voice, honoring your mother's legacy, and learning to, quote unquote, shake the dust is a powerful lesson for us all.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's been a joy.
Good.
Listen, you guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast. Again, Charleeta's story just reminds us that forgiveness is about freeing ourselves, and that there's an immense amount of strength in choosing not to carry what isn't ours. To our listeners, you can read Charleeta's powerful letter in the Dear Black Woman anthology that will be released on September the 20th. You can also visit and come meet us all in Atlanta on the weekend of the 25th through the 28th, where we will be celebrating our co-authors with an event called 100 Women in Black. Now, this is another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast, and you can listen to it, watch it on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for tuning in. And always remember to be gentle with yourselves, and we will see you next time.